Hello everyone, today we're going to explore how moral philosophy works not just in theory but in real life situations. Using Syria as a good place, we will focus on the character Chiri Anagonia, who constantly struggles with decision making, so he's a perfect example for moral conflict. In this podcast, we will analyze his moral developments through three key frameworks: deontology, utilitarianism, and virtue ethics, while also using Immanuel Kant's idea of enlightenment to better understand how moral thinking and responsibility evolve. My name is Yerkezhan Shirinova.
Kabdrakhmanova Jalila.
Abil Ayanat.
Manayev.
Zhexenova Aizhan.
And Sikinbayeva Sabina.
According to the plot, at the start, Eleanor, after her death, comes to the good place that is prototype of heaven, but she quickly recognizes that she does not belong in there. So she tries to learn morality and to fit in. And that's when Chidi comes. He tries to help Eleanor to be a good person. Throughout the plot, he um, um, is being professor of Eleanor, but he struggles with his own indecision, his own life. So he tries to apply Kant's theory, Aristotle's virtue ethics, and utilitarianism, but at the end he just doesn't make any right decision that leads to bad consequences.
From deontologist perspective, in the episodes, it was shown that Chidi is Kantian moral agent who represents his moral ideals, such as constant attempt to determine what is moral good. Also, he avoids to act selfishly and emotionally. He believes that everyone should obey the moral goods. And for example, in the first episode, it was shown that he immediately insisted Eleonora to tell the truth, since telling a lie is a moral wrong thing. Also, I truly believe that in the sense, Chidi is deeply deontological. He sees moral principles as a system of principles that everyone should obey, regardless of its personal costs. And yeah, that's all. What do you think, guys?
Yes, I also agree that Chidi perfectly fits this framework, deontology, because he genuinely wants to do right things and avoid to do wrong things like lying or manipulating. And his motivation to do a right thing is more moral responsibility rather than a personal gain. In the scene where Eleanor asks him to teach her moral ethics, we can see that Chidi hesitates and think that is this his responsibility, his moral responsibility? Is this the right thing or wrong thing? And through this, we can come up with the idea that he truly wanted to do right thing.
However, when we look at the behavior in real life situation, we can see the problem. Chidi's main weakness is overthinking and over reflection. And example of the film, he keeps thinking about every single possible consequences. He delays action to avoid something wrong, and he struggled to make simple decision in real life, in daily life, because he afraid to make wrong decision. And um, I think Chidis understand to duty, but fails in real life.
Yes.
Good point. I want to say that in the essay, in answer to the question, what is enlightenment? Uh, Immanuel Kant says that it is when a person escapes from self imposed immaturity. Uh, However, with with Chidi, it's a little bit different. Uh, he isn't bad because he lacks knowledge or something. Uh, on the contrary, he overthinks a lot, and that's why he won't make a move until he's 100% sure. Uh, and that's why he also stuck in his head. He overthinks a lot. So I want to say that Chidi is actually very smart, but in real life it's kind of hard to use because he needs to act more. He thinks too much.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically he really is an overthinker. So through a Kantian lens, Cindy represents. Wait, which was. Um, yeah, so basically through a Kantian lens, Chidi represents a paradox when he represents moral duty, respect for moral duty and moral intentions, but when it comes to real life situations, he just freezes because he don't know how to act.
And thus, Chidi represents a main deontological insight that even if you have knowledge about duty and rules, even if you teach someone to these rules, it doesn't mean that you are have capacity to apply it. And if you don't apply it, then it's all worthless. So my recommendation for Chidi would be just to relax and rely on his emotions. Yes.
And now, from a utilitarian perspective, Chidi presents a different kind of moral problem. So, according to Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, we can say that morality is morally right actions is based on consequences. So, this means that those actions who produce more happiness to greatest amount of people, they're defined as morally right. Unlike Deontology, which focuses on duty and intention, utilitarianism evaluates actions based on their outcomes. Chidi naturally tries to think in a utilitarian way. He constantly thinks about what outcomes can bring his actions, and he constantly care about others' opinion, how it will affect them, and he definitely wants to avoid harming others. But can trying to consider every possible consequence actually prevent from harmful consequences?
Actually, I think that his utilitarian thinking all becomes extreme since he overthinks even simple actions, the simple decisions. Uh, for example, what to eat, where to sit, or what to say. All this leads to moral dilemma when he cannot act at all because he overthinks about all the consequences and tries to account uh, for all possible outcomes. Uh, and this is the analysis of paralysis, which means that he cannot decide decisively. And I mean, inaction is also a choice, and utilitarianism judges actions by the results, and most of Chidi's results are negative since he cannot uh, decide decisively.
At this point, Sabina, I want to mention one of John Mill's critique. He developed this opinion that not all happiness is equal. Morally and personal happiness is more important than just simple comfort. So when it comes to Chiti, he knew that just being with Eleanor and just appearance of Eleanor hurts all of the neighborhood. So here is the contradiction with utilitarianism, because Chiti knows that happiness of one person destroys happiness of all the neighborhood, but still he helps to Eleanor. Um, that's when it comes this collapse that I noticed in the series.
Good point. And I want to say that overall Chidi means well. As Yerkezhan said earlier, he always tries not to harm anyone, and he also tries very hard to choose the most correct version. but sometimes it can turn out oddly.
Utilitarianism is basically about maximizing happiness, and when he follows every his step towards other people, it just harms, I guess, his mentality, and he always insecure about what others will think. So I guess that's his problem. He thinks about others, but forgets about himself, and others are not, I guess, satisfied with this outcome because utilitarianism is about maximizing happiness and involving all like members.
Yeah, good point. And he delays things, and that's why everything can get very difficult. And also sometimes because of him, good things just don't happen. Uh, and also his constant doubt can actually make things worse. And there is a funny irony that he tries so hard to maximize good things that sometimes that good things just don't happen.
Or they go wrong.
Yeah.
To sum up thoughts, I think judges from a utilitarian perspective, he represents a failure practical application rather than moral intention because he deeply cares about consequences, but he overanalyzes outcomes.
So by his overthinking and he delays his decisions, and I came up with ideas that that morality is requires to not only calculation but right decision making, and the utilitarianism focuses on outcomes rather than intention or duty, and even even Chitti has a good and perfect intention. He is not able to do uh, decision briefly, and so he usually fail, and from a utilitarian perspective, Chidi is not always a like good person, I think.
I guess to work out to like be successful in life, you just need to combine Deontology and utilitarianism because they're both kind of, I don't know, categorical.
Yes. And when it comes to Aristotle's virtue ethics, there is a little bit contradiction between two theories that we discussed, because virtue ethics focuses not on consequences or rules. It focused on virtual development and characters development in like being a good person, attempting to be more moral and so on. And Chidi have true intentions because he wants to help Eleanor, he wants common good and so on, but only intentions are not enough, because when you don't have habitual showing, and when you don't act upon your qualities and intentions, there comes a little gap that Chidi have has, and you need to be more practical in this area, because virtual ethics shows that person needs to follow his heart and just be a good person without any jealousy and bad qualities. So he has good intentions, but he lacks like practical wisdom. So what do you think about that?
According to practical wisdom, I would say that he has lacks of this concept because a key concept in Aristotle is phonesis, similar to practical wisdom. It is the ability to make right decision in real life. So Gigi lacks because he overthinks every moral situation. He treats abstract theory as more important than real action. He struggled to apply moral knowledge in practice. He knows moral philosophically extremely well, but he cannot use confidently in real life.
So I also think that he lack of confidence, and he always avoids committing to actions because of uh, his fear of being wrong, and this is an important point that Aristotle argues that without action you cannot develop, and even in the scene with Michael choosing him to him a new hobbies, he struggled to choose, and but in later episodes he slowly builds his moral habits and being more and more confident. So I think he slowly grow up.
And now here we come to the golden mean problem. From the perspective of Aristotle, morality requires balance, and this is called the golden mean problem, the point between two extremes. However, Chidi clearly fell into one extreme: too much analysis, too much caution, too much like little decisive action.
From virtue's perspective, Chidi represents as someone who has strong morally potentially, but incomplete moral development. He has the desire to help others. For example, through the series, he constantly tried to help to Eleonora. Also, he has the knowledge of ethics.
However, he lacks practical wisdom and habitated action. Therefore, Chidi shows that in Aristotle's view, morality is not about knowing the good, but becoming uh, the kind of person that naturally does good things from heart. So in the end, I want to say that Chidi Anagni shows how three major ethical theories explain moral struggle in real life.
From Immanuel Kant, he has strong morality and knowledge. However, he lacks of acting and being indecisive.
From utilitarianism, he tries to follow the ways that has the best consequences, but unfortunately he fails.
And from Aristotle's point of view, he is truly good person and have intentions, but lack of practical wisdom. So overall, Chidi is has a good intention, and through this we can see that morality is not about thinking, not about mind, but also uh, being able to act on it.
So we are happy to record this podcast, and thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.